Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Revelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Monday, the 2nd of May, 2016, and this is episode 177, All the Small Things. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. How was your week? I don't even remember how my week was because I'm super excited. So my work schedule, I get it every Friday for the following week. And so I don't know what days off I'm going to have in advance unless I request days off, which I almost never do. And this week I have 2 days off in a row, tomorrow and Wednesday. And I haven't been to Michigan in a super long time. I don't know, like a little over a year. And I miss my family. And my mom's been down and my sister's been down, but I would like to go home, So I'm going to Michigan tomorrow. I'm super excited. So anything that happened this week, I just can't even because I'm super excited to go see my family. And bonus is that Steve is going to work from home, so I get to go all by myself. That is crazy. I've never been all by myself, so I'm kind of nervous about making the drive with no other humans in my vehicle, but I'll be fine, right? I've made the drive a few times myself now. Anyway, let's get on with things. First, let me talk about my sweater. This is the Sarah. And I'm not 100% positive on the designer, so I'll put it at the bottom because I have two different names floating in my head and I don't want to say the wrong one. And the yarn that I'm using, the yarn that I used was 716 knit in a, was this the worsted or the boss? I can't remember. I just know that it was amazing, and Jenna, the dyer behind 716, sent me a sweater quantity of yarn because she's awesome possum. Basically like a, hey, I love you, here, have this wonderful present. And the colorway is modified hamsters. It's based off of her colorway. Everybody wants petrified hamsters but don't know what to do with them, I think is what it's called. And I love that colorway. In other news, All the Small Things Craft Along has started. Rules are in the thread. I will summarize the main points right here, though. Works in progress are acceptable. Anything that is finished counts. So a single sock, a hexapuff, a mitered square, a sweater, a blanket. Anything that is a finished piece by itself counts. If you make a pair of socks, that's 2 entries if both were finished in the time frame of the knit along. If you had one sock finished before May 1st and you finished the second one after May 1st, then only one of them is eligible. There are prizes. We have had prizes donated by people, which is awesome. I still haven't gone through my supplies to pull out gently used items, but those will be listed soon. We already have people who posted things. We have four people who posted things so far. So the way this is going to work is it's a chatter and FO thread all at the same time, so you can comment on people's things and cheer people on, which is awesome, all in the same thread. And then I will just go through and write down when people finish things. Feel free to put multiple entries in a single post. Since I'm writing it down, I will get to it. So if you finish like 7 hexapuffs or something, and you can put them all in one thread or one post. Yeah, I think those are all the main things. Oh, there is a hashtag. It's hashtag BPH small, the number 16. I think that's everything. Double check in the rules thread. That's all, or in the chatter FO thread. All the Small Things 2016. It's all in there. Prizes, rules, hashtag, all the things are there. Okay, so on to what I've been working on. I have a finished object. I finished the tube socks. So this is where I was last week. I went until this orangey, this main body color, which is Plymouth Yarn Company Happy Feet in, I think it's Autumn Multi is the colorway. I went until I ran out of yarn. I have, after weaving in ends, I think I have like an 8-inch length. So not enough to do across both sides. And then I did the cuffs and the toes. The toes are Melissa Transtrom's new toe, which I don't know if she's released yet, but it's so that it slants differently. So, you know, if you have a more pointy big toe, it rounds off more rapidly on the small toes. And then I also used a contrasting color for the toes and the cuffs because I wanted to make the socks as long as possible. And so yeah, I just did the brown so I wouldn't be not wasting, but kind of wasting yarn on toes and cuffs. Is she really distracting to you today? Because she's super distracting to me today. I think I'm just highly distractible, though, because my brain is already driving to Michigan, even though I have to work tonight. It is going to be the longest shift ever. And not only because it's a 7.5 hour shift instead of my normal 6-hour shift, because I'm going to be like, I just want to go. I want to go to Michigan. I think I'm going to pack before I go to work. I don't know yet. I might pack when I get home. I have no idea. I'm just so excited. Oh my gosh, so excited. Anyway, works in progress. I have made really good progress on the Steampunk Curry socks, which is a pattern by Heatherly Walker. And isn't it so pretty? This is a paid for pattern. It is a super cabley textured sock that's knit flat for most of the leg, and it has buttonholes on one side and buttons on the other. I have attached all of the buttons, so I no longer have to make any buttonholes, which is exciting. Although I'm a little concerned because the picture for the sock has 7 buttons per sock, but the instructions only have 6 buttons going in per sock. So that's a little, I mean, people make decisions after they make their first sample, so that's fine. I make design decisions after making my first sample sometimes too. So I'm trying to decide right now if I am going to follow the pattern on when you turn it into in the round, or if I'm going to do that a little bit sooner. I'll play it by ear. I will just keep putting it together and looking at how it looks and then decide. And also, I don't necessarily like I don't like the transition from flat to in the round, so I'll probably change that also. And I'll let you know if I do that. The yarn I'm using is 716 knit, 716 sock in the Hell Hath No Fury, like a woman scored for Sega, which was the exclusive colorway for last year's ZK. And oh my gosh, I just love it so much. That is one sock, and of course they speckle a little bit differently because it's an indie dyed yarn. So one sock has more speckles than the other. Doesn't bother me. Love it anyway. If I was that worried about it, I would have knit one sock and then knit the other sock because they would have been closer. But I'm just knitting from the inside and outside of the cake, and I think they look close enough. And also, I'm feeling kind of crazy because I really kind of want a fingering weight sweater with all these crazy cables on it. But then would I wear it? That's the question, because I really like the idea of cabled sweaters, but then I'm like, I don't think I like the idea of a cable sweater on me. Although fingering weight would be less bulky. Maybe if I just did like cables on a sleeve of a fingering weight sweater. But then again, I'd have to make a fingering weight sweater for myself, so I don't know. But I love this. Look, how cute would that be as sleeves? Right? With the buttons on the sleeves. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just making things up, and I think it would be a super cute sweater. But I'm also super excited for the socks. I am more than, I think I'm at 2/3 through the chart approximately. So it should be to the heel next week. Although I don't know, because Michigan trip, I'm obviously going to have not the same amount of knitting time as I normally would. We'll see how that goes. I also worked on the Josie Socks, which is a pattern by Jenna Meyer. And the yarn is Science Monkey Mercantile in the Faraday base in the Rosalind Franklin's, Rosalind Franklin's Overexposed Photograph colorway. So I was at the Sheep last week. I did more than 2 rounds every day. There were 2 or 3 days where I did 4 rounds instead. I only have 6 rounds of pattern to go, and then the cuff. So depending on if I actually decide to pack today, no, it's not even 6 rounds. It's only 4 rounds of it. See, because here's my stitch marker to count. I'm going to count on air, just so you know. So if you're counting something, pause that. So here's my stitch marker. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches after. So that marks how many rounds I have to go. So I only have 4 rounds of pattern, and then however long I make the cuff, which is usually about 10 rounds. So I will probably actually finish these socks today and show them next week on the podcast once they're blocked and stuff. That's pretty exciting because I love the pattern. It's so beautiful. It's very intricate. And I'm kind of feeling a little bit guilty that it's taken me so long to make these socks, because I've been working on these for like, what, a month and a half now? But I've actually been working on them for like 2 years, because I did the first bit of the test knit in this and then rewound the yarn into the cake because I don't remember, tension issues or something. I don't know. Anyway, these might be done tonight, which would be exciting. But I'll still show them next week on the podcast. So there you go. And next week they'll be blocked, so you'll actually be able to see this beautiful lace pattern, and I'll probably have a shot of the socks on my feet to insert so you can actually see it, because it's actually really lovely. Yeah, you can't see that. Yay, that! I didn't realize that I had done so much work on it last night after I got home from work, because I couldn't sleep. Because I get off work, I've been getting off work at 1:30 for the past week, and then I don't sleep until 3. I also worked on Care Bear's cross stitch. So here it is, and the upper half is completely finished. So that is gone. I am to here finished crossing on this side of the bear's body and the tail. So I just have the rest of the legs, the 2 legs basically, I have to do in the blue. And then I have, let's see, where am I on the white? Because I know that's hard to see since the background is white. So from here down on this side and from here down on this side. So it's getting really close, which is really, really exciting. I'm still planning on doing, a strand a day. There were a couple days this week where I did 2 strands a day because I had extra days off this week. So I had extra crafting time, and this is what I wanted to work on. So I did an extra strand, because why not? I also worked on the House Targaryen socks by Christine Pike. And this yarn is gorgeous. This needle isn't doing anything other than holding the stitch marker, because I like to count rounds. This pattern is a free pattern on Ravelry, and it's a 5-round repeat. So on the first round is when you do the patterning, and then once I get to the last 4 stitches, I put this in so that the subsequent 4 rounds I don't even have to look at the sock. I can just work it and move the counter as I go. And that way I don't have to worry about counting rounds. That's why that was there, why that stitch marker's there. But anyway, House Targaryen socks. The yarn is Marigold Jen in the Yoshi colorway, and it is so pretty. So this is kind of what the pattern looks like. Kind of looks like cabling, but it's not cabling. It's just really cute, and how cute would that mitten be? The pattern, in the pattern, it's a full-length sock, but I'm just doing anklets because it's for Haley, and she wears short socks. The pattern doesn't have any heel or toe instructions. It says just insert your favorite here, which seems legit for a free pattern. So I did an eye of partridge with garter ridges on the sides. And I hear that this is how the heel is written in their Hermione's everyday socks, but I've never knit those socks. So maybe that's how it's done. I just kept hearing podcasters talk about it, and I decided I would try that heel. I've done an eye of partridge before, but never with like a garter ditch on either side of the heel. I actually really, really like the effect. So this might be my my go-to heel flap heel. I'm still going to use Fish Lips Kiss heel for short row heels, but I think this is going to be my go-to. Yeah. My go-to heel flap gusset heel. I am actually almost done with this sock. I have 2 pattern repeats, so 10 rounds, and then the toe, because look at how long this sock is. With my handy dandy measuring tool. So yeah, this is about 10 rows, and then the toe. So one sock of this will be finished for sure next week, and the second one probably started. No, it'll be started, because I will at least cast it on the same day that I Kitchener this toe. Because you know how I hate casting things on. I really do. I like having new projects. I just hate casting them on. I don't know why. I also worked on the market bag just a little bit. But I wrote down some information on the market bag, which I'm not going to show you because it's under a couple things. I did write down what this yarn is, and it is Peaches and Cream in the Pageantry colorway. And I'm using a USJ hook for the market bag, which will get finished eventually. I don't know. I didn't really feel like working on it. I felt like working on socks a lot this week. Really feeling the socks right now. Shocked. Are you shocked? I'm sure you are. Is that all the things that I had last week? Oh no, one more update. The garland, the Christmas garland I was working on, I don't know, last week, the week before, I wrote down what the pattern was just so people would know, and it's called String of Beads by Claire Montgomery, and the book it's out of is called Knitting Vintage. Checking notes. Painted Tiger. I worked on that, and I actually I almost kept up with the hour for the month. Actually, let's be serious. I did more spinning than 10 minutes a day. So I did actually make my goal of an hour a week. I definitely put in more than 4 hours of time on this spinning project. So here is my ply turtle. And it is completely solidly covered in that rose color, but you can see in the center the yellow, which is what it starts out as. I started this new ply ball that I'm plying from. You can see it goes to purple. Over my shoulder, nope, this shoulder. Doop, doop, doop. I'm having issues with the camera, so I need to move this way. There we go. I had to think about it. Right there is my ball winder, and I wound off the next ball that I'll be plying from and started spinning a little more. I'm not going to officially keep this on my rotation, but whenever I feel like spinning this month, like drop spindling, I will pull it out because sometimes I just want to spin for a few minutes. But I made a really good progress on this braid. I was still in the yellow, I think. Or no, I was in the early parts of spinning the pink single at the beginning of the month, and now this is all I have left. So it's only 2 colors left of the progressive. And I haven't showed you the tag in a while because it's just been in the bag. So the painted tiger is living in my bag from Jerry, which I love so much. So yeah, I mean, I'll be kind of tentatively working on this, but I did make that goal for the month. So yay that. I didn't make the others for the month, but I'll keep working on things, whatever. It'll get there eventually. Yeah, and I'm pretty pleased with that. I also started a pair of socks for myself because I finished a pair of socks, so I needed to start a new pair of socks, right? And I should have started another Christmas knit, but I mean, this is kind of a Christmas knit. These are going to be my Christmas socks. I was telling you last week or the week before that I thought I wanted to make socks out of the leftovers from the yarns that I made my kids' socks out of, and I've started them. What I am doing is, P.S. I don't think I told you, but you remember how I needed to go get a new 9-inch circular because I lost it and needed to work on those Mystic Spiral socks. The day after I found my other one. So I'm working these in tandem on 2 separate 9-inch circulars because in addition to wanting to make socks for myself, I also need new elliptical knitting. So these will be my elliptical knitting, and the yarns that I'm using is for the cuff. Did I say these are Rose City Rollers by Mara Catherine Briner? I don't think I said the name, or the designer. I think I said the name. Okay, so the first yarn for the cuffs, I did 10 rounds of, who is this? Pagewood Farms Denali sock in the Marine Girl colorway. And then I did 5 rounds of the main body color, which you can't really super see, but here it is. It is the Where's the Kaboom colorway. Who did that? I don't remember. I don't remember the dyer. If I remember, I'll put it in right here at the bottom of the screen. And then for the heels, I again did the Eye of Partridge heel turn gusset sock with the garter ditch on it. So I really like the way that's turning out. And the yarn is Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper in the Royalty colorway. So I'm working them in tandem because I didn't weigh the skein, and it looks like way more than enough yarn to do the feet of socks because, you know, I'm already on the foot for both socks. I just need to do gusset decreases and then straight for a while. It looks like plenty, but just in case, I'm going to do them in tandem. So if I have to do like extra long of the toe color, it won't look awkward. It'll look like it's supposed to be that way. So yeah, that's what that is. I'm super eloquent today. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's just a really simple, I'm not doing a pattern down the foot. I'm just doing a stockinette so that I can just run on my elliptical and knit at the same time, because doesn't everybody? And those will be my Christmas socks. I didn't make myself a pair last year, so I ended up buying like $4 slippers instead for my stocking. But it will be nice to actually have a pair of socks that I made for me in my stocking this year. I'm going to talk to you really briefly about other things that I'm going to be starting maybe this week, maybe next week. I don't know because, you know, Michigan trip. I am planning on making another hat string band by Stephen West. Even though I find the pattern not greatly written, I do like the effect of the hat. So I'll be making another one of those because my best friend asked if I would make her a hat, and The Fox and Socks are doing a knit along, or did a knit along, I don't know if it ended last month, whatever, where they pick 5 options out of a hat. And I requested that they pick options out of a hat for me. So what it is mine is the dye technique is self-striping. This particular color that needs to be in it is white. It had to be a hat. What else? There has to be lace in it. So I'm going to modify the string band to have eyelets. And fingering weight. I had to use fingering weight yarn. So that's my plan. And I don't remember when the knit along happened, but they picked the things. So even if it already ended, that's what I'm going to do. So look forward to that. That'll be a quick, easy knit, which I can work on my elliptical too, which is fine because these Rose City rollers are going to fly. They did the last time I made them. I am also going to be making another pair of tube socks because now that my kids' tube socks are done, I have niece and nephews to do tube socks for. And then I have a 4-ounce braid of fiber, which is the oldest braid in my stash. I do have 2 other lots of fiber that I've had for longer in my stash, but they're big balls of natural colored brown fiber from sheep, and they're not particularly soft. I don't remember all the details. You can go check on my stash page. You'll see them immediately. It's Kahlua and Domino are what they're called. So I do have those, and they've been in my stash longer, but mostly I use those when people are like, oh, I want to learn how to spin. I'm like, oh, here's some fiber and a spindle. This is perfect. Or if I need a solid color to ply with something crazy. But anyway, so I have a 4-ounce braid that I want to spin on my wheel because I haven't spun anything on my wheel in a while. And those are my plans for new cast-ons this month. I really want to get some of my works in progress worked on, and I do have all those lists of things that I was supposed to be putting in 4 hours over a month on that I haven't. So any time that I have left over at the end of the month will be going into those. I did a whole bunch of small things this week. I'm pretty excited. So the first is not quite finished, but almost. This is my barn raising square number 70. The yarn is Stray Cat Socks in the Electric Avenue colorway. I just made Mystic Spirals out of them, and I'm almost finished with it. I am binding off. I have 2 sides completely bound off. I am about halfway through the 3rd, so I have 1.5 sides to bind off. That will be easy peasy and done in the editing today. I made square number 27 on my mitered square blanket, and it is the same yarn, but I used a scrap, and then because I cut out at the heels to keep the colors going, the stripes on the front going the same, even though it's a Mystic Spiral, so it got a little bit different. I wanted it to be consistent on the front. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, I cut out a chunk of yarn on each of the heels, so I had little balls left over. And I used those, but I attached in the middle of this, or I attached right here at the break of the teal, and I put in the orange because I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, it starts with gray and then goes to teal and then orange. Well, I didn't realize that it went back to teal at that point, so it's not quite true to the colorway, but it's whatever. It's close enough. It's got the colors. It's gorgeous. I super like it, and I'm not angry with that little blip. And then I finished 14 Hexs. So I finished the ones from last week, and I made the ones from the previous week and the ones from last week. Yay! So 14, which puts me up to 526 Hexs, which is awesome. I did 2 each of this one, this one, this one, which are all yarns I've already talked about, and this one. I've already talked about those yarns. I did a celebratory using 2 scrappy bits. The yellow and orange is Hippie Penguin Fibers. It's from the yarn club, the County Fair Yarn Club, and I think it was called Duckling. That sounds right. And then I don't know what the other scrap is. A commercial self-patterning. I don't know what this yarn is, but I used it to make Frammy socks. 716 Solo Silky in Josh Can't Overdye Black. This one has 4 different leftover little bits of scraps of yarn. Yarn from a ZK, and then I ran out, so I had to improvise with another scrap. This is White Birch Fiber Arts in the I Eat Space Spinach colorway. So, yay! I hope to continue on in the trend of making at least 7 a week. More than 7 would be awesome, but, you know, I'm not going to be too angry if I don't. And last week I said, let's go back to my mitered square blanket. I said that I would maybe show you what it's going to look like. So here we go. That's kind of a sketch. That is a tentative plan. So what I'm working on right now is this center thing. I might have to extend it because this, I did the math, and it's only 396 squares. The blanket that I made, my original mitered square blanket, has, I believe, 776. So this is just about half that size. So I don't know, I might be making the center panel bigger and then making everything else bigger based on that. I don't know, but that's kind of my idea. So it starts off with, can you see that? I think so. So it starts off with an X radiating out in the middle, and then it will have some sort of sashing. I don't know if those are going to be just garter panels knit in or what. I haven't decided yet, but they'll exist in some way. And then more panels of the squares. I haven't decided how those are going to work up yet, but that's my idea for how I want the blanket to look. And I totally stole that from someone else's, from someone's Instagram or something. I don't even remember who it was to give them credit because I saw it a long time ago. And then I was like, ooh, that would be cool for a setup for a blanket. So yeah, that's my plan for that. I got myself, oh, really quick, a little more knitting. The 2 things that I'm supposed to do for my resolution this year based on random number generator are a decoration for winter, which I worked a little tiny bit yesterday because it was the first of the month on this. So I will be picking up the, what is this called? Advent calendar, and quilting it together. So that will be my main winter project. Although I do have, I'll just show you. Why not? Because this is also on my blanket to finish this month. I do have this cross stitch, so when I get to the point where I only have one color left on the Care Bear, I will be trading it out with colors on this, because how cute is that? And that will count for my Christmas winter decoration. And then the other one is the garland. So if I get really, really bored, I can always do more of the beads on the garland to count towards my winter decoration thing. But anyway, those are the things that I'm supposed to work on this month, and hopefully it'll be okay, because right now I have 3 of the 10 4-hour chunks completed. That's not so good. I do have something new. I had a 60% off coupon for Joann's. Mara's baby is crying apparently very loudly. I really wanted to get a new cross stitch because I have the Care Bear, I have this one, and then I have a smaller one, which I don't see immediately. It's probably about the same size as the Care Bear one. And it's a lighthouse, which I'll be making for my best friend because we found it when we were cleaning out her mom's room after she passed away from cancer. So I want to make that for her, and then I don't have any more cross stitch things. So I was like, 60% off. I could get a bigger cross stitch piece to work on. So I went to Joann's and I looked around, and I have been eyeing this one right here. It's a Dimensions kit for a while because it's got fairies, and I really, really love fairies. Super love fairies. It's called Twilight Silhouette. It's counted cross stitch. It's on 14 count navy Aida. And what is blending filament? Because this has blending filament and I don't know what that is, but I'm excited to find that out. So yeah, I bought this for myself because 60% off coupon. I'm willing to put in money for good supplies and stuff, but I'm still at the point in cross stitch where I'm like, ooh, I really, really like this, but I don't know if I really, really like this because it's new or because it's something I want to keep up with. And this kit is not ridiculously expensive. It's a $25 kit. But I'm still like, $25 for a craft that I'm not 100% positive I'm going to keep up with. I did cross stitch when I was little. I picked it up again when I was in college, and then I dropped it. And so now I'm like, am I just going to drop it again? Do I really want to buy a $25 kit? Or I could buy a skein of yarn, which I know will be used. So 60% off coupon, I bit the bullet and bought the kit, and I'm pretty excited about that. So this is after the lighthouse. I want to get all 3 of the kits I have finished before I crack into this. Like, this is kind of my prize kit. It's going to be a pain to work on because it's on dark fabric, but totally worth it. It's going to be so pretty. I'm super excited. And it's nice because it's already separated, which I appreciate. This one is not. I mean, it's only like, I don't know, 7 colors or something, so it's not going to take a lot to separate, but and I don't think the lighthouse is separated either. But yeah, so look for those coming up. And what I am reading is I finished Life and Death by Stephanie Meyer, which I actually really enjoyed. And then I flipped the book over and started reading Twilight, but then I returned it to the library because it was a day overdue or something. So I'm going to recheck it out from the library soonish. But yeah, I'll be reading Twilight in the near future. I am still listening to Blood Rights by Jim Butcher. Can I go back to Life and Death really quick? So I really enjoyed it. It was really interesting seeing the gender roles switched and how they affected the story a little bit, but not to a great extent. And I really appreciated how she handled the gender swap as she wrote it. And I found it really believable. I did have a few issues with the story as it's rewritten because there's just like spoilers. I'm gonna do spoilers. I will put in a timestamp for when I'm done talking about this book and talking about something else. She doesn't talk about the equivalence of James and Victoria and Laurent throughout the story. She only talks about them at the baseball game. Like, that's the first time that they are brought forward, or that there are other vampires in the area. So that was kind of a little bit like, in Twilight, they talk about it early on because there are people who are like, there's all the animal attacks and stuff. Like, it mentions that Charlie is working a lot in Life and Death, but not anything specific. So that's kind of out of nowhere-ish, I felt. And there I feel like Jacob was fairly prevalent in the Twilight book, and in Life and Death, his female counterpart, Jules, is hardly there. So I felt like that was a little bit weird. But overall, I genuinely enjoyed reading the story, and she does do a different ending, because it was an ending that she wanted to try for Twilight but ended up going with something else. So the ending is different also, which I appreciated. So yeah, I recommend the book if you liked Twilight. If you didn't like Twilight, probably skip Life and Death, because it's almost the same story, just gender swapped. Okay, back to Blood Rights. I am about 3/4 of the way through it. I am appreciating it a lot. I love James Marsters reading the Dresden Files. It's just so good. And I really want to listen to all of it and be finished with it because it's so good. But I also want to listen to podcasts because I like to keep up. So I've been like watching 3 podcasts and then listening to a chapter, and that is working out pretty good for me. I'm completely caught up on podcasts except anything that was posted since 4 p.m. yesterday. Super enjoying that. I started a new book last night because I returned Twilight to the library. So I started reading Poison Fruit by Jacqueline Carey, and it is I believe this is supposed to be a trilogy, and this is the 3rd book. So the final book in the Agent of Hell trilogy. Hell being Hel, the Norse goddess of the underworld. And I'm only 16 pages in approximately out of 456. I really, really like Daisy. That's the main character. I hate the name. I hate her name, but I really like the main character. I really enjoy the setting. It's in a small tourist town in Michigan, which I appreciate. Jacqueline Carey is from Michigan, so I love that. And I love Jacqueline Carey, so I highly recommend this. There's only one series that Jacqueline Carey has written that I didn't super enjoy, but I think I'm going to go back and read it soon, actually. This is really fun. It's urban fantasy. It's super good. I'm excited to read it. So go pick up anything by Jacqueline Carey except Bane Wrecker and Godslayer. Those are the 2 that I'm kind of like, it's just a different writing style. It's written from the villain's point of view for the most part, which I think I would enjoy on a second reading, but I didn't love it so much on the first reading. Also, the villain is a god, so it's written almost completely from a god's point of view, I think. It was a really long time ago that I read those, probably like 8 years. So I should probably stop talking about them because I don't know what I'm talking about for certain. The last thing that I have for you this week is a podcast recommendation. And I have a super big podcast crush right now on Katie from Inside Number 23. She is adorable. She did musical theater professionally for a while, which is awesome. She is, she's just so cute, and it really feels like sitting down and hanging out with a friend when you watch her podcast, which I love. I know that several different podcasters have recommended her, and I have to agree, she's fabulous, and I really want to like hang out with her, except she lives right around London and I live in the middle of Kentucky. So there's a whole ocean in between us. Not in the middle. I live in northern Kentucky. Let's be serious there. But yeah, I mean, like, we can't just hang out. But I wish we could. I think we would have so much fun hanging out. She is the kind of person who I would want to have in my knitting group. Yeah, and I really, really like her. So go check her out. She's fantastic. She doesn't have too many episodes. I think she has like 15. But the other thing is, so she has 15 podcasts, so ranging from 30 minutes to like an hour and 10 minutes. She started out with shorter episodes and then they got longer. But she also has 2 different sets of vlogs. So she did Vlogmas last December, so 25 days, where she just did small snippets from like 3 to 10 minutes about her day, which was fun to watch. And then she had a vacation last week, the week before. She just took a vacation off of work and just crafted, basically. It wasn't to go anywhere or do anything. It was just she had some time at work that was kind of use it or lose it, and she had some crafting she wanted to do. So she did. She knits. She's just barely started spinning. I think she's only like a week or 2 into that. And she does a lot of sewing. So that's really interesting. Like garment sewing. And I think she has made a project bag, or she's going to make a project bag. I don't know. I watch the podcasts, but I also do other things when I'm watching the podcasts. So I think I hear things that are not completely accurate sometimes. Just go watch her stuff because she's adorable. And the vlogs, at least, are only, 3 to 5 minutes. So if you just want to check her out just really, really quick, you could watch like 2 or 3 vlogs and get an idea of kind of her personality. She's great. Go watch her. Anyway, that's all I have for you this week. I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string, and I will see you next week. Bye.